In the sprawling, often unforgiving landscape of Hollywood, there are stories that shine like supernovas, brilliant, explosive, and commanding the attention of the world. And then there are other stories, quieter stories, like the gentle, persistent glow of a distant star, one you might not notice at first, but whose light travels a great distance, carrying with it a tale of profound depth and poignant beauty. These are the stories that often reveal the most about the human heart, about the delicate balance between ambition and artistry, and about the devastating fragility of life itself. Today we delve into one such story, a story about a young man whose face might be familiar from the hallowed, chaotic halls of a fictional Boston law firm, but whose soul was forged in a world far removed from television studios, on the biting cold of an ice rink, and in the hallowed theaters of Moscow. This is the story of Justin Mentell, an actor and artist, a world-class athlete, and a life that was a study in fascinating contrasts. To truly understand the journey of Justin Mentell, we must first travel back in time, not to a Hollywood backlot, but to Austin, Texas, in the early 1980s. Born on December 16, 1982, Justin grew up in a world that was rapidly changing. The analog age was giving way to the digital, but for a young, energetic boy in Texas, the most compelling world was often the one he could physically conquer. Long before he ever memorized a line of dialogue, Justin was mastering a different kind of script, one written in the precise, powerful language of motion. He wasn't drawn to the football fields or basketball courts that dominate the Texan landscape. Instead, his calling was found in the cold, controlled environment of the ice rink. Justin was a speed skater, and he wasn't just a casual participant. He was exceptionally gifted. This wasn't a weekend hobby. It was a calling that demanded a level of discipline and sacrifice that few teenagers could even comprehend. Imagine the daily routine: waking before the sun, the air sharp and cold, heading to the rink for hours of grueling practice before a full day of school even began. It's a life of endless repetition, of pushing your body past the point of exhaustion, all for the fleeting perfection of a few moments on the ice. This kind of life shapes not just an athlete, but a family. It's a life of weekend trips to competitions in other states, of carefully packed meals, of finances diverted to coaching fees, equipment, and rink time. It's a shared dream, a collective effort that orbits around the potential of one gifted child. His dedication paid off. Justin rose through the ranks of the competitive speed skating world with remarkable speed. He became a key member of the United States junior national speed skating team, competing against the best young athletes in the country. The pinnacle of his young athletic career came when he secured a bronze medal at the Junior Olympics. Let that sink in for a moment. This is a level of achievement that represents the culmination of years of relentless effort, a testament to a will forged in ice and determination. He stood on a podium, a national-level athlete, with a future that seemed destined for Olympic glory. Speed skating is a brutal sport. It is as much a mental game as a physical one. The physical form of a speed skater is unique, built around explosive power in the legs and core, all while maintaining a low, almost excruciatingly painful crouch to minimize wind resistance. It requires a tolerance for the burning sensation of lactic acid flooding your muscles, a pain you must push through, not away from. But beyond the physical, it requires intense focus, the ability to shut out the world and exist only in the rhythm of your own body, the sound of your blades carving into the ice. This discipline, this singular focus, would become a defining characteristic of Justin's approach to everything he would later pursue. But here is where his story takes its first and perhaps most significant, unexpected turn. For many athletes who reach such a high level, The path is set. The singular goal of the Olympics would consume their entire world. But within Justin there was another passion stirring, a voice that was quieter than the roar of a skating crowd, but equally persistent. It was the call of the artist. After graduating from Waukegan High School in Illinois, a place his family had moved to, he stood at a crossroads. One path led to more ice, more races, and a potential shot at global athletic fame. The other led to the uncertain, often chaotic world of the stage. We don't know if there was a single moment, an injury, a moment of burnout, or simply an epiphany while watching a play that triggered the change. What we do know is that the decision to pivot was an act of immense courage. It's one thing to pursue a dream. It's another thing entirely to walk away from a dream you are already actively achieving to chase a completely different one, starting from the very beginning. In a decision that must have surprised many who knew him only as a skater, Justin chose art. He hung up his competitive skates and enrolled in the drama program at Northern Illinois University. This wasn't simply a change in career, it was a fundamental shift in identity. He was trading the objective certainty of the stopwatch, where victory is measured in hundredths of a second, for the subjective, messy, and deeply human world of acting, where success is intangible and often elusive. He was choosing to explore the internal landscape of the human condition rather than the external limits of physical endurance. It was a leap of faith into a world with no guarantees, a world where the discipline he had cultivated would be his only true constant. At university, he threw himself into his new craft with the same ferocious dedication he had given to skating. He performed in numerous plays, from classical to contemporary, learning not just to recite lines, but to inhabit characters, to understand their motivations, their fears, and their joys. He was a natural, but he was also a relentless worker. He knew that talent alone wasn't enough. It had to be nurtured, challenged, and refined. He approached a Shakespearean monologue with the same methodical preparation he had once used for a 500-meter race, breaking it down, understanding its rhythm, and mastering its execution. His pursuit of artistic excellence then led him to an even more remarkable chapter, one that is often overlooked in his biography, but is crucial to understanding the depth of his commitment. Justin was accepted for a summer program at the Moscow Art Theater School in Russia. This is not just any drama school. It is a legendary institution, the birthplace of the Stanislavski system, the very foundation of modern realistic acting. For an aspiring American actor, studying there is like a physicist studying at Einstein's own institute. This wasn't a casual study abroad trip. It was a deep dive into the very heart of theatrical tradition. He would have been steeped in techniques like the method of physical actions, where actors are taught to find emotional truth, not by forcing a feeling, but by meticulously performing the physical tasks and actions associated with that emotion, allowing the feeling to arise organically. Imagine a young man from Texas and Illinois, a former speed skater, now walking the same halls as the ghosts of Chekhov and Stanislavski. He was immersed in a culture and a language completely foreign to him, studying a theatrical tradition renowned for its psychological depth and emotional rigor. This was Moscow in the early 2000s, a city still grappling with its post-Soviet identity, a place of immense history and palpable energy. The training there is famously intense, designed to break down an actor's preconceived notions and rebuild them from the ground up, forcing them to access a raw, unfiltered emotional truth. This experience undoubtedly shaped him profoundly. It gave him a gravitas and a foundation that many of his peers would lack. It was a testament to his courage and his insatiable curiosity. He wasn't content with just being a good actor. He wanted to understand the very soul of the craft. When he returned to the United States, he was no longer just a talented university student. He was an artist who had been seasoned, stretched, and deepened by a world-class, old-world education. He moved to Los Angeles, the city of dreams, and more often, of dreamers. Like countless others, he faced the gauntlet of auditions, the endless cycle of hope and rejection that defines the life of a young actor. But Justin had his discipline, his unique training, and an undeniable screen presence. And it wasn't long before Hollywood took notice. His breakthrough role, the one that would make him a familiar face in millions of homes, came in 2005. He was cast as Garrett Wells in the second season of the critically acclaimed and wildly popular ABC series, Boston Legal. Stepping onto that set must have been an intimidating experience. The show was a behemoth, anchored by television titans like James Spader as the brilliant and ethically ambiguous Alan Shore, Candice Bergen as the formidable Shirley Schmidt, and the legendary William Shatner as the larger-than-life, gloriously eccentric Denny Crane. Boston Legal wasn't a standard legal procedural. It was a signature creation of writer David E. Kelley, known for its breakneck speed dialogue, its willingness to break the fourth wall, and its unique ability to blend slapstick comedy with heartfelt discussions on America's most pressing social and political issues. Into this powerhouse ensemble walked Justin Mentell, a relative newcomer. His character, Garrett Wells, was a young, brilliant, and often cocky lawyer from a prominent legal family. He was sharp, ambitious, and confident, but also had to navigate the treacherous and often absurd waters of the Crane, Poole, and Schmidt law firm. Garrett was frequently paired with the firm's other young lawyers and often found himself either in awe of or in direct conflict with the firm's senior partners. In the chaotic moral universe of the show, Garrett often served as the voice of conventional reason, the by-the-book lawyer bewildered by the maverick tactics of Alan Shore and Denny Crane. This role of the straight man is incredibly difficult to play. It requires an actor to be the anchor of reality while absurdity swirls around them, and to do so without being boring. Justin excelled at it. His grounded presence made the antics of the other characters even funnier, and their serious moments more impactful. Justin's performance was masterful in its subtlety. He perfectly captured the swagger of a young man who knows he's smart, but is still figuring out how the world really works. He could be arrogant, but Justin imbued him with an underlying vulnerability that made him relatable. He wasn't just another slick TV lawyer. You could see the gears turning in his head, the conflict between his ambition and his developing moral compass. His background in intense athletic and theatrical training was evident in his presence. He was focused, prepared, and held his own in scenes with actors who had decades of experience. One of his most memorable dynamics was with William Shatner's Denny Crane. Garrett often represented a more buttoned-down, by-the-book approach, which served as a perfect foil for Denny's outlandish, often inappropriate, but strangely effective methods. The generational clash created moments of pure comedic gold, but also moments of genuine mentorship, however unconventional. For his work on the show, Justin, along with the rest of the cast, was nominated for a Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by an ensemble in a drama series. It was a prestigious honor, a clear signal from his peers that he had not only arrived, but that he belonged in their company. But behind the confident exterior of Garrett Wells, Justin remained a quiet, introspective person. Those who knew him described him as thoughtful and kind, a far cry from the sometimes arrogant characters he played. And he had another world, a private passion that few of his fans knew about. He was a gifted visual artist. He was constantly sketching, drawing, and painting. It was another facet of his creative soul, a way to process the world and express the ideas that couldn't be captured in a performance. For many performers whose work is collaborative and dependent on scripts and directors, having a private art form like drawing is essential. It's a space that is entirely their own, a direct line from their mind to the page with no intermediaries. It's a way to maintain a core sense of self away from the pressures and judgments of Hollywood. His art, much like his acting, was a way of exploring the human condition. He was particularly drawn to music, playing the drums, and his creative energy seemed to have no bounds. The physicality of drumming, the precision and rhythm, feels like a direct cousin to the discipline of speed skating. He was a true Renaissance man in the making, athlete, actor, artist, musician. After his contract on Boston Legal ended after one season, a common occurrence for younger cast members on a David E. Kelley show, which often rotated its cast to keep things fresh, Justin continued to work. He appeared in films and other television projects, seeking out roles that would challenge him. He wasn't interested in being typecast. He was building a career brick by brick with the same patience and discipline he had learned on the ice. His last major role came in the 2009 Disney family film G-Force. In it, he played Terrell, an FBI agent caught up in the chaotic world of espionage-trained guinea pigs. It was a light-hearted, fun role, a complete departure from the dense legal and ethical dramas of Boston Legal. It showcased his versatility and his willingness to embrace all aspects of the entertainment industry. He seemed to be on a steady, promising trajectory with a future full of possibilities. His unique background and deep training set him apart. He had the looks of a leading man, but the soul of a character actor. The potential was limitless, and then that potential was extinguished in the blink of an eye. The story takes its final tragic turn in the cold, early hours of February 1st, 2010. Justin was driving his 2005 Jeep in a rural, sparsely populated area of Iowa County, Wisconsin. The landscape there is one of rolling hills and quiet farmland, beautiful but unforgiving, especially in the dead of winter. It later emerged that Justin had developed a deep affection for this part of Wisconsin, particularly the area around Mineral Point, a small town known for its vibrant community of artists. He wasn't just passing through, he was in a place that nourished his artistic side, a refuge from the intensity of Los Angeles. He was reportedly returning from a meeting with a new creative group he had joined. He was alone on a dark stretch of highway. Sometime around 3:30 a.m., his vehicle left the roadway. It careened down a steep wooded embankment, striking two trees with tremendous force. There were no other cars involved. There were no witnesses. It was a solitary, violent event in the deep silence of the night. When authorities arrived at the scene, they found Justin. He had been ejected from the vehicle and was pronounced dead. He was only 27 years old. The official report from the Iowa County Sheriff's Department concluded that he had likely fallen asleep at the wheel. Devastatingly, they also noted that he had not been wearing a seatbelt. It was a tragedy born not of malice or recklessness in the traditional sense, but of a simple human moment of exhaustion, a moment that had the most catastrophic consequences imaginable. Drowsy driving is a silent killer responsible for an estimated 100,000 police-reported crashes and more than 1,550 deaths each year in the United States alone. It's a danger that is particularly acute for young people who often push their limits, believing themselves to be immune to fatigue. The news of his death sent a ripple of shock and profound sadness through everyone who knew him and his work. The age 27 is chillingly iconic in the annals of celebrity deaths, forever associated with the 27 Club, a list of famous musicians and artists who died at that age, often due to substance abuse or suicide. Figures like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, and Kurt Cobain. But Justin's death felt cruelly different. It wasn't a story of rock and roll excess or a tortured artist succumbing to their demons. It was a quiet, lonely tragedy on a dark country road. It felt senseless, random, and deeply unfair. His death wasn't a burnout, but a fading out, a light snuffed out by simple, tragic human error. The tributes began to pour in. His former co-stars from Boston Legal were heartbroken. William Shatner, the veteran actor with whom Justin had shared so many scenes, took to Twitter to express his grief. He wrote, "I am so saddened to hear about Justin Mentell. There's no rhyme or reason to this tragic loss. He was a wonderful young man and a talented actor. My heart goes out to his family." David E. Kelley, the creator of the show, released a statement calling him an incredibly kind and sweet man, as well as a fine actor. These weren't the standard polished Hollywood condolences. They were expressions of genuine pain and disbelief. They spoke of the person, not just the performer. They remembered his kindness, his gentle spirit, the quiet professionalism he brought to the set every day. The loss was felt deeply because he wasn't just a colleague. He was a friend, a bright light in a competitive industry. His death raised no public controversies, no dramatic debates. Instead, it prompted a quieter, more somber reflection on the realities of an actor's life. The industry demands constant travel, long hours, and often leads to a nomadic existence. The pressure to always be on for auditions, for roles, for networking can lead to profound exhaustion, both physical and mental. Justin's accident was a stark and brutal reminder of the human cost that can be hidden behind the glamour of the screen. It highlighted the simple, profound importance of taking care of oneself, of recognizing the limits of human endurance, of the life or death difference a simple click of a seatbelt can make. So, what is the legacy of Justin Mentell? It's a question with no easy answer. He didn't have a long career filled with iconic roles. His time in the public eye was relatively brief, but his significance isn't measured in the number of his credits, but in the depth of his story. He represents the quiet professional, the dedicated artist who does the work not for the fame, but for the love of the craft. His journey from elite athlete to classically trained actor is a powerful testament to the human capacity for growth and transformation. He demonstrated that discipline learned in one field can be the foundation for excellence in another. His life is a poignant what if. What if he hadn't been driving on that road at that hour? What if he had been wearing his seatbelt? With his talent, his training, and his work ethic, what kind of career would he have built? Would he have become a major movie star, a respected character actor, a director? We will never know. And that is the core of the tragedy. It is the loss of all the future roles he would have embodied, all the art he would have created, all the lives he would have touched. In our culture, we are drawn to stories of dramatic flameouts. But perhaps the greater tragedy lies in the stories of quiet potential that are never realized, the symphonies never composed, the performances never given. His story compels us to look beyond the surface, to appreciate the unseen work and the winding paths that shape a life. It is a heartbreaking lesson in the randomness of fate, but it is also an inspiring, if brief, example of a life lived with passion, purpose, and a quiet, dignified grace. Justin Mentell's light may have been extinguished far too soon, but the memory of his talent and the echo of his gentle spirit remains. It's a quiet story, but it's one that, once you hear it, you will never forget.